Marie Walsh Sharpe was a Gibson girl, grew up on an Iowa farm as the youngest of 10 children, attended Parsons School of Design, had her iconic portrait painted by artist Ivan Albright, traveled extensively during her lifetime around the world, and single-handedly founded one of the most vital art foundations in U.S. history out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. A lifelong patron of the arts, Marie Walsh Sharpe wanted to create an enduring resource that would adapt to the needs of the American artist. When Marie Walsh Sharpe died on September 21, 1985, she left behind a will that launched a foundation that would cultivate and support emerging artists in a multitude of ways, ultimately through 2 major programs. An internationally competitive studio residency program in New York that continues today as the Sharpe Walenta Studio program in Brooklyn, and a nationally competitive summer seminar intensive for talented high school-aged artists that ran from 1987 to 2014 in Colorado Springs.
The studio program was started in 1991 by the Marie Walsh Sharpe Art Foundation. And the Sharpe Foundation was started because philanthropist Marie Walsh Sharpe left the better part of her estate with the sole purpose of benefiting gifted artists. And that was the sole directive that she gave. How that would be done would be up to the foundation staff and board members. And fortunately for us, Joyce Robinson was hired to run the Sharpe Foundation. And she knew that in order to enact Mrs. Sharpe's wishes, she would have to turn to artists who would best inform how artists could benefit from the foundation's gift. So Joyce Robinson turned to Charles Hemmingson of the Paula Krasner Foundation and to Chuck Close in New York and said, Chuck, we've got this foundation and we want to help gifted artists. How do we do this? And Chuck said, well, we need to ask other artists. With Chuck Close and Philip Pearlstein and Irving Sandler and a big coalition of, I believe it was 29 artists who met in Philip Pearlstein's studio, I think it was November 1988.
Artists including Chuck Close, Cynthia Carlson, Tara Donovan, Philip Pearlstein, Fong Bui, Janet Fish, Lorna Simpson, Robert Storr, and art historian Irving Sandler shaped the program under the long-time direction of Joyce Robinson in New York starting in the mid-1980s.
When I was a graduate student, I applied for a Sharpe studio because I was planning on transitioning, moving to New York, and I was fortunate enough to receive one. Living in New York is extremely expensive, and I was in a situation where I never would have been able to afford a studio. It was the same year I was included in the Whitney Biennial, and it was amazing to be able to have a place to work. There was a lot of camaraderie between the other artists in the studio, and it was a good year for me. Having an all-artist jury for the Sharpe program it definitely focuses on choosing artists that are really makers, that are going to use the studio. It is the mission of the Sharpe program to give artists a workspace. The real honor in it all is to have a space to work.
The SPACE program continues today in Brooklyn, New York, as one of the most competitive artist residency programs in the world, now named the Sharpe Walenta Studio Program. The long-running summer seminar program was incredibly impactful for the talented young high school-aged artists who studied in Colorado Springs. The legacy of the Marie Walsh Sharpe Foundation's support for contemporary artists is profound and wide-reaching in impact.